Hey guys, this is Will, and I thought I would spend some time today on a different card game. I've been making a lot of Dragon Ball Super videos, and that game is great, but I've played so many different card games. This one is obviously the Naruto card game. It was, I guess, mainly came out before Naruto was like too far into Shippuden, and I mean it didn't come out then; it came out earlier, but that's kind of when it was getting to the end of its time, and they stopped making the cards kind of before, I guess, the Great Ninja War. So like before people really started getting like pumped about it again, they kind of dropped off, and it was kind of sad because they did make a lot of cards for that, and I don't know if they, like, there's a Naruto card game plus apparently. I don't know what that is, but they might have kind of added a little more. But I really got into it before that, and I got my brother to play with me a few times, and it is a really fun game. It has very interesting rules, and I can make videos about the rules later, but right now I just wanted to show you. These were the cards I got out of the Pain structure deck. I love Pain. I love like Konan. It also has the Akatsuki in it, like all of the members. And so it's a really, really good structure deck in my opinion. I had bought the Naruto... No, I had the Sasuke one, like the very first Sasuke structure deck that came out. My brother had the Naruto one. And those were good too, but I just really like the Pain ones, so I'm going to show you the different kinds of cards that come in it, and I'll explain a little about that. But then I'm going to show you all of the cards that came with the structure deck. So first, these are our ninja cards. And the ninja cards are cool because you deploy ninjas one at a time into your village, and you can take time during your turn to build teams. Teams can be no larger than 3, unless I had a card before that said you could make 4, but essentially you'll only be able to make teams of 3. You can make as many teams as you want, but you can only send 3 out at a time to attack the opponent's village. And I'll go into the rules about how to calculate the leader attack with the supporters. But just know that the ninjas are really important because they all have different effects that can help each other, especially with the Akatsuki. There's a lot of effects that help other void ninjas, is what they are saying. You know, the scratch out of their village, they call it a void. Very interesting cards though. So I've got Zetsu. He is very low cost, but really doesn't have a whole lot of attack at all. Tobi's effect is pretty good. I'll get to that later. Konan, she's awesome. Sasori, you got deidara. Notice that all of their they all have the void marking in the top right, but then they all have different attributes underneath. Kisame, itachi, that's Pain. I guess they call it, that says Deva path, but in the show they call it Tendo Pain, but really that's Yahiko, and we all know that. It's the Asura path. It's his like kind of crazy looking form, and then just his regular form. These, I have 2 of each. These Pain down here. The human path, we know that he's the one that can like drag the soul out. They call him Preta path. I'm pretty sure it was like, it was start with a G. Like they called him something else. But anyway, he was the one that can stop your opponent's ninjutsu. This was the Naraka path. Pretty sure they called him something else too. But he was the reviver Pain. This is the animal path. That's the exact same one that he had before. But not only could he summon animals, but they also had a female one later, because remember, he got taken out by Jiraiya. But the female one became the new animal path, but also is just kind of the summoner, because it was able to summon out the other Pains too. You got childhood Nagato. He's just a basic attack, like, and he actually gets stronger when he gets hurt, but he's just an easy summon. This is actually an interesting card. So our Madara Uchiha over here is a client card. Client cards do not do battle, but you can normally you can only summon one ninja per turn. But you can summon a ninja and a client, and they just stay there the whole time, and you use the effect just based on. Let's just see what it is real quick. So it says, let's see if I can get it zoomed in. It says you may deploy a void ninja ignoring its sacrifice. At the end of your turn, if you turn marker is 0, you can draw 1 card. I'll explain a little bit more about that. All of these voided ninjas in this deck require, except for the Akatsuki, require a sacrifice. It's kind of symbolic because, you know, all of the pains are originally dead bodies of other people, so they technically had to be sacrificed to make them, so it's an interesting way to combine the rules with some of just the lure of the game, or the lure of the show. And last but not least, I've got 2 of each of these. It's just some of the summoning the animals. You have the chameleon, it says giant, like chimera. I don't know how to pronounce that properly, but anyway, it kind of looks like the 3-headed dog of like Hades, or like the one guarding Hades, whatever. You'd also like Fluffy from Harry Potter, but the interesting thing is he's more like a Hydra because his heads keep growing every time that he takes damage. The other one is the giant centipede and the giant rhino. The rhino is the only one that has a turn cost, and I'll explain more about that later, but he has a turn cost of 1. So those are the ninja of this structure deck. And next we got the Jutsu. Now the Jutsu cards are pretty cool. You only typically use Jutsu during the battle phase, but sometimes there's Jutsu that have effects outside of it, like Shadow Clone Jutsu, for instance, was one that there are some that you use during battle, but I'm pretty sure there was one that it was like you had to go through the top of your deck, and it was like you put them into the village, I think. Maybe I'll have to relook at that one, but anyway, typically you only use them during the battle. So let's see, we have hologram, which is the first one. That's search your deck for an Akatsuki ninja card with an entrance cost less than your turn marker, move it into the user's team in any position, then move the user to the bottom of its owner's deck. That's actually a pretty interesting card. The Eyes of Pain, they really should have just named this the Rinnegan, but they decided to do the Eyes of Pain, and the requirement is Rinnegan. But move your turn marker up by 1. That's important because that's how you summon better people. A lot of these Jutsu cards have sorry, I'm gonna just move that over. Have a expert to it, so the effect actually grows depending on who uses it. So if you're using Kid Nagato, the effect also gets move your opponent's turn marker down by 1. So it adds an extra ability. So the next one we have is the Summoning Jutsu for Pain. This is, any of them can use this. The requirement is just the Rinnegan and Ninjutsu. All of ninjas have ninjutsu. But it gets an extra effect when the animal path uses it. So the regular effect is search your deck for up to 2 Rinnegan ninja cards, a combined entrance cost of X or less. Reveal them and move one to your hand and the other into the user's team in any position. That's pretty good. The X is just your turn marker. The expert, if you use the animal path, is move the bottom card of your deck to your hand. That's pretty good. Because there's some cards that tell you to put the cards at the bottom, so you could just get it right back. So next, let's look. I got 2 Hands of Pain. That's the Preta path. Kills me that I can't remember what they called him in the show. It's like Gekudo or something like that. So he has a 2 cost, and I'll go into the cost later. But then anyway, so his requirements is also Rinnegan and Ninjutsu. So essentially, any one of them can use him, as long as they have Rinnegan. But the effect is negate the target and shuffle it into the owner's deck. If your turn marker is odd, negate the target user's effect text during this turn. The target is 1 jutsu, by the way. I forgot to mention that. If you're using the Preta path, you can move this card to your hand. I guess instead of putting it in the chakra area, you can just put it back in your hand. The next one is a pretty well-known one, is the Almighty Push. That's Yahiko's pain move that was just crazy. Wiped out the entire leaf village in one attack. That was pretty cool. The cost is interesting, and I'll go back to that later. But so the requirements is that you have a let's see, Jutsu is the Deva path. So you could only use this one if you have the Deva path out. That's interesting. Oh no, sorry, I misread that. If the user of this jutsu is paying Deva path, lower the cost of the jutsu to just 1x. So it just makes it easier to use. The requirements are only rinnegan and ninjutsu, but it says apply the following effects according to your turn marker. Odd, X ninja on the battlefield become standby ninjas. Even, move X cards from the top of the deck to your hand. Top and bottom of the deck to your hand, so you get a lot more cards in your hand, which is interesting. I guess that's the pull part, where the odd is the push part. So that's a pretty good card. Then you have the Mind of Pain. This is... what was this? The human... yeah, this is the human effect. But it's interesting they didn't give him a... what is it? An expert. So it's just any of them can use it. There's not a better effect to it. So it says one ninja opposing the user. Randomly remove a card into your opponent's hand from the game. If the card entrance cost is greater than or equal to the target's, discard the target. Otherwise, injure the target. At the end of this turn, move the card that was removed from the game to the owner's hand. Alright, so those are our jutsu cards. So next we've got our mission cards, and I don't really feel like reading all these right now. Just because I took a lot of time to do that with the jutsus. But the jutsus are kind of more important. The mission cards are really important. I'll just go through the names. So we've got the Time of Pain, Invasion, 2 Spiral of Pains, the... what is that? Orphans? That's a weird name. I don't know why they called it that. The City of Pain, the Herald of Pain... what is that? A Gift of Pain, Void World. Void World's a permanent. It's interesting. There's I think it was Tobi's effect is that you can add a card in your deck with World in it. So it's that card, and then I think I already said Invasion, but I got 2 of those. So the importance of mission cards is that when you need chakra to use jutsus, and one way that you can make chakra besides just making it is whenever you play a mission card, you have to pay the card cost, which is what is it? You have the turn cost, but then you have the card cost, so you have to play one of them with it, or not discard it, but both of the mission card and the card that you're using to pay for the cost both go into the chakra area instead of just discard, which is really handy, especially with some that in another deck that I have, like I have very few fire cards, but some of them require it. And so I have a mission card that requires fire. I have to discard a ninja that has fire too, and put them both in the chakra area so I can actually use the old mission card and the old cost for it as chakra later, which is very, very helpful. You can always just put as many cards as you want in the chakra area, but ninjas are kind of valuable, so I don't usually do that a whole lot. Anyway, so that's the Pain starter deck. I like this deck a lot. Just, I mean, the Akatsuki have always been kind of cool, so I mean, I've enjoyed this one. I've got another deck that I'll probably show you guys, but and then I'll explain a little more of the rules too. But anyway, this is the Pain starter deck.